All right, this will be your just kind of random things in the resource library that you can use for a lot of different learning. So I talked to you before about these Unifix cubes. Let me grab them here in the multiplication section. Unifix cubes, I said, are your bread and butter of math. We have lots of these in the resource library to check out. You can use them for your basic kindergarten skills of counting and one-to-one correspondence because they're colorful, making patterns, which is a kindergarten concept, and sorting things, which grouping things by color, grouping things by numbers, grouping things, all sorts of grouping things. Addition, subtraction, you can use these for multiplication, division, all sorts of math concepts. And you can use them for just grade level after grade level after grade level. So we have those. I also said in the last movie you could probably just buy your own set and have them because you will use it for years with multiple age levels. So you can have your first grader doing stuff with it at the same time as your fifth grader. So here are some of the other things we have in our resource library. Going on the same wavelength as those Unifix cubes, we have lots of different counters. These counters are two-toned. And what can be good about that, where there's red on one side and yellow on another side, you could make these things represent ones and tens. And so you could trade them out and you could say, okay, whenever there's a red one, that means 10. And a yellow represents a 1, so I can say that's 11 or whatever. You can do things like that and kind of flip it over. You can make patterns with these or just use them for basic counting or have two different colors and make groups if you're doing multiplication. There is 2 groups of 5 or 2 times 5, which is 10. Okay, something like that. Or dividing it up. I can show you other ways to use this for place value and stuff later. But there's those type of counters if you like that type of thing. Plus, they don't take up a whole lot of room. So if you end up doing a multiplication activity or division activity like the one I showed with the egg carton in the division video, these are great for that because they don't take up as much room as the Unifix cube, so you can put them easier in something small like an egg carton. We also have, if you want to change things up, sometimes kids just get bored using the same stuff over and over again. So you could use these for a month. And then, especially for your kindergartners, I thought these were so cute. We have these little bears. Just use them as counters. Put them in different things. They get to play with them. It's something they can play with. If your kids get squirrely with manipulatives, like all they want to do is play, put on a timer and say, okay, for 5 minutes you get to play with these. And when the timer's done, we're going to settle down. We're going to work with them. Or you can use it as a reward at the end of the time and say, we're doing this, but at the end, I promise I'll let you play with them like a toy at the table. We would do that in the classroom. We would work with them, and then I'd be like, you know what, you guys were so good with using these and using them properly and doing what I asked. Now, just have some time to play. And I'd give them 2 to 5 minutes, and they were content with that. They could look forward to that. I also told them, oh, if you weren't listening and you didn't use these properly, I had to take them away. So when playtime comes, they didn't get to play with those. They had to do a different activity. So you can use it like a reward system. So those bears, again, different colors, just a different way of, they don't connect like Unifix cubes, but they're just really cute. Okay, we have these colored tiles. These are also used in Right Start Math for other activities, but same thing. They can be used as counters, multiplication, division, adding and subtracting, just a different type of counter. And then these, very small. I don't know if you can see them very well. It's a brand new pack, but they're basically these tiny circles. If you have babies, maybe don't get these ones. They look very chokeable. But they are very colorful. Like the Unifix cubes, don't take up as much room. So again, using those egg carton multiplication division activities or the take-out boxes, this would be great for that. We have lots of different types of dice. We have irregular shaped dice that have lots more numbers on them. A traditional die usually goes numbers 1 through 6. And these ones, some of them go up to 10. I have ones that are teens, like 15 and 17, different things like that. roll them, do your multiplication facts using the dice, or addition facts. You have them roll 2 dice and they have to either add those numbers together, maybe they have to subtract them, maybe they have to make them into a fraction, or they have to multiply them, or they have to divide them if it works. And it can just depend. So you could have them roll them and then decide what you want them to do, so they're getting faster and faster at the facts. It's just a very hands-on way to practice different skills without having to do it on paper. And there's your traditional dice, but they're wooden, which is kind of fun. If you're worried about the noise, put a tablecloth on your table. It'll work fine, or have them do it on the carpet. These are kind of fun. We have some that have addition or subtraction or equals on them, and some multiplication ones and stuff too. So you could actually throw what you would call this, a symbol die with 2 number dies, and then it'll tell you whether you should add or subtract or multiply or divide. Okay, so you could do that too. Playing cards I'll do in a minute. If you're teaching about clocks, I found the most effective way to teach my first graders about time is we have several of these wooden clocks in there, and I would even check out 2 of these, one for you and one for them. And the reason is you can just tell them, hey, show me 2 o'clock or show me 2:30, and they can do it. And again, they don't have to write it on paper or look at a paper clock. They can work with their own, which is always really nice. And you can just check it, but sometimes it might be fun to have yours and you do it on yours and they do it on theirs, and then you show them like this, just because then you're doing it with them and they have a visual of what it's supposed to look like, especially when they're first beginning and they might get it wrong. And then you can be like, oh, make yours look like mine. See, the shorthand goes to the 2 and the longhand goes to the 12. This is the minute hand and the hour hand. I'm showing them it's 2 o'clock and different stuff like that. So these clocks, I wouldn't teach time without one, just because it's kind of an abstract concept and it's good for them to be able to move it around. We do have coins, like we were out when I was there today, but we have coin flashcards where these are really cool. When you're teaching money, it'll give you 12 cents and it'll give you how many coins they can use to make the 12 cents. So this one's circle's a little bit smaller. This is obviously for a dime and 2 pennies. And they place the coins right on the card. You can use real live money or you can get some plastic coins from us. And it'll show you the answer on the back of what it's supposed to be. So what you could do is, a lot of these have shapes on them. So you could line this up and they could pick what activity they're wanting to work on or whatever. And some of these are analog. Like this one is, it shows them what it looks like on this clock and they have to tell you what time it is, and then you can see it on the other side. So these have money and time, it looks like. So again, 39 cents, that's what you could buy with 39 cents. And they have to figure out the number of coins. It shows you how many coins they have to be, and then they can double check their work. Okay, how can they make 39 cents with the smallest amount of coins possible, or with the amount of coins that's given, depending on what the activity is. So those are really fun. Again, hands-on, less book work, especially for those days midwinter when your kids just hate you because they haven't had enough sun. And they don't want to homeschool anymore. When you're learning shapes, again, more flashcards, and they have them by color. This is great for kindergarten when they have to learn these different shapes. They do need to know things like a rhombus and the characteristics of a rhombus. I do wish these cards had what makes a rhombus, or a square, the fact that it has to have 4 equal angles and 4 equal sides and different stuff. But especially for kindergarten when they're just learning their shapes, flashcards are great for that. And then we have pentomino sets. Pentominos are like, I would put them in the area of geometry. They have different shapes. You can see that, like that. And what you do with them is there are patterns, and I would just look them up online, look up pentomino patterns online, and they'll basically give you pictures, and you have to figure out as fast as you can, because it's usually a timed thing. You start them off slow, and you just help them to make the pictures shown with these. In the regular school districts, they will actually every couple of years have competitions on this, and they'll put together teams. It's called the Math Olympiad, and they see how they give them a bunch of pictures and they have to however many pictures they can do in a certain amount of time, whatever team get the most wins type thing. But you might ask, well, what's the point of that? With a lot of things in geometry, this, or if you've ever seen those colored tangram shapes where it's like you have some diamonds and some squares and some triangles and you can put those to pictures or whatever. What's the point of being able to do that? Well, when you're able to take this and figure out how to flip it and manipulate it kind of like Tetris in your brain, it's just a brain skill. It helps your brain take a object and flip it to fit in a puzzle, and it's just it is math. It's a geometric skill. Can they take something, or even letters, words, anything? I mean, this is, they do it in reading too. Can they see the word in their brain to spell it, and can they manipulate it and change out a letter to make it a new word? Your brain needs to be able to flip shapes and flip things to do in a different puzzle, and it's just really good for the brain. So figuring things out. So that's another cool activity we have. The last thing I will show you are just 2 quick activities with playing cards. I'll probably do another video just on playing cards because these are really fun. It's what most people have in their house, and you can just do lots of things with them. But we have some of these that you can ask for at the school. We have several packs that I saw in there. New ones are kind of hard to deal with because they're so slippery. But simple game of war. You have 2 opponents. Put your 2 kids against each other. If they're close in age or they're friends, they have a sleepover or something. They both have it. They both throw down. You may have to watch over this to double check. They throw down a card at the same time. They say go. This is an 8 and an ace. That ace, of course, represents a 1. 8 times 1 is 8. Whoever shouts the answer first wins. If you need them to play by themselves, all you have to do is get a multiplication chart where they can look up the answer themselves, and that would be fine. Or give them a calculator to quickly do the answer if you don't have time to play with the 2 kids or whatever. And then they keep going down. Whoever has the most sets at the end wins. The other thing that you can do, which is really fun, is you need 3 players for this. So either you have to referee it, or you get somebody really good with multiplication chart or a calculator that can do it really fast. Each opponent takes a card and puts it on their head. They can't see they can't see their own card. They can only see the other person's card. So I don't know what my card says right now, but I would be able to see my opponent's card, and I can see that it's a 1. Now the 3rd player can see both cards because they don't have a card on their head. They're like the referee. And so they will look at those 2 cards and they will tell them the product or the answer to this multiplication problem. And they can see this is a 9 and a 1, and so they say the answer is 9. So I can't see my card, but I can look at that and say, okay, that's a 1. So what times 1 is 9? And in my head I go, well, my card must be a 9 then. So the first person to figure out their card and shout it out gets the pair. So if I shout out 9 before this person shouts out 1, which is their card, then I would get it, or if they picked it out. But again, you have to have the 3rd person to tell them what the product is, because you don't know what your card is supposed to be. And I love that version, having that 3rd person, because even if you have somebody, one of your kids, even a 2nd grader, who doesn't know their multiplication facts yet, give them a calculator. They can be the referee and just explain how it goes, and they can punch in the product while these 2 are holding their cards in, and that way they're even starting to learn kind of the multiplication facts maybe a little bit, and say, oh, well, 9 times 1 is, oh, okay, the answer's 9, and then the older 2 can guess or whatever. So that is our 2 just quick multiplication games with cards. I will come back with some more fun card games for you on a different video, but that'll at least get you started having some fun with your kids. So that's some of the more random pieces that we have in our library, and I will do an addition and subtraction video next.